Well, hello, 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 my unstoppable lionesses. How are you this day? I am really, really stoked today because we have a show for you that will top all of the shows because every show gets better and better. So I'm excited about today. My guest today is Miss Mandy Merrifield. And you got a chance to meet Mandy when we did the show live from Spain, because Mandy was one of my retreat sisters. And I am so excited to be able to connect again and let her share some of the wonderful things that's been going on in her life. And I'm a little jealous because she left the retreat and continued to be that jet setter across Europe and make wonderful memories with her mom and stuff. But Mandy, welcome to the show. How are you?
Oh, hello, my darling. It's just such a pleasure to see your gorgeous face. It's
Oh,
been far too long and it's only been about
I
4 weeks.
know, right? It seems like such a long time. Now,
Yeah.
like this, if I tell you Mandy is doing something very special for you today, Mandy is in Brisbane, Australia. So she's staying up really late. I'm up really early to make sure that you guys get to experience her wonderfulness. What has been going on with you since the retreat? And two questions. You know me and my twofold questions. Number one, what's been going on with you? And what has been the result after that fabulous week we spent in Spain? So, yeah.
Okay, so what has been going on with me? I arrived back in Australia Thursday last week, so I think that's about 5 days ago now. Leaving the retreat, I went and met my mum in Amsterdam, and we had a lovely time doing one of those very bougie European river cruises right from Amsterdam down through to Budapest, and then spent another couple of days in Budapest and then in Prague before coming home. So, what's been going on with me? Experiencing all of that with my mum, which was just wonderful. The last 4 or 5 days, to be very honest, experiencing jet lag like I have never experienced in my life. I'm very, very glad that we're doing this interview today and not yesterday. Um, Back into my corporate hat world yesterday morning, so kind of getting back into that routine. I think a lot of people would call it coming back to reality with a bump,
Mm,
which kind of leads into that next question that you asked, which was, um, what has transpired for you and since the retreat and how am I feeling? And we were having a little quick conversation before we jumped in tonight. And one of the things that I said to you was once you've seen how different life can be, and once you've met amazing people, and once you've experienced what we experienced, you can't unsee that
mm,
and
mm,
you can't unexperience that. And for me, in the coaching work that I do for women, that week that we spent in Spain together, surrounded by women who were just incredibly inspiring,
mm,
and allowing me to disconnect from the busyness that takes my mind with all of the different things that I have on my plate.
mm,
It allowed me to see what is possible for,
mm,
but quite not just for my business, but to see what is possible for what I can do to support women. Because it's not about me and it's not about my business. It's about being able to be a change, be the support, be, if I'm going to, be really, I guess, woo-woo in my thoughts, be a guiding light for women. And if we then draw that back to a business perspective or what a coaching practice might look like, what the time away and spending time with the amazing women that I got to spend time with was, it reopened opened my creativity and my ability to be able to think outside the square as to how to build that community to then be able to bring that support to light and to life. So, I said to you, I went back to work yesterday. I work in, a really big financial services firm, and I really enjoy my job. Um, but you can't unsee that there is something so much bigger out there, and a much bigger purpose that is so incredibly worthwhile.
Mm, mm. We went into the retreat. It was really amazing how we were all connected
Mm,
because most of us had never physically met before. you know. We were all part of Women Thrive. So on some levels, we might have seen somebody or saw a name or been on a Zoom call or something like that. But to be physically within the same place,
mm,
at the same time, it was a beginning, it was a first for us. But what was amazing was that every one of us literally went there kind of with the same mission, which was
mm,
clarity. It was like we needed clarity for ourselves. We needed clarity for our businesses. We needed clarity just for our emotions. Just everything kind of hinged on that word clarity. And I know
mm,
I went into it with the expectation of transformation.
mhm,
You know,
mhm.
it was like, I am going to get clarity, and in my clarity, there will be transformation. And I'm sure you can kind of attest to.
Well, do you know what? My experience was quite different going into the retreat. I had been so incredibly busy in the lead up to the retreat. And, as you know, and I can kind of run off a laundry list to your guests of, I work full time, I'm doing a master's degree, I'm writing a book, I'm running a coaching business, I work as a leadership consultant, I'm just about to take on a graduate certificate in executive coaching. There's a lot on my plate. I'm a mum, I'm a daughter to I lost my dad late last year, so I do a lot of support with my mum to make sure she's well and safe and cared for in this time in her life. I went into the retreat almost at a point of going, I'm just going to get this week done and then get on the boat with mum. It was like, right, this is something that's got to be done.
Mm,
And it was quite interesting because um at one point I actually said that to our retreat hostess, and she said, "Oh, Mandy, I'm so upset." And I said, I now realize that my mind was so incredibly busy and clogged that I couldn't see the opportunity that it was. And I think it took me about 3 days at the retreat to be able to let go of the busyness of my mind and to be able to settle into a space where I could start to have rational thoughts and be able to let go of some of the noise. And that's when I really started to let myself into the experience that I was in. So different experience from you. I went in with an expectation of going, I've just got to get this week done and then get on the boat. And and I think by the end of day two, I was like, oh man, I need to be here for like another 2 weeks, not getting on the boat. So, which I'm not, I really enjoyed that as well. But yeah, so that was my experience. So I think for me, the transformation was even that much more greater because I was almost fighting against it
mm,
when
mm,
I went in. So, um, I in the year that has been in my coaching practice, I know that I certainly lost a lot of confidence within myself because a lot of things had happened. I'd moved house, I'd moved job, I'd lost my dad. There was a number of things that had happened. So even though our host had said to me in calls coming up to the retreat, she said, "This is exactly what you're going to need. It's going to, it's going to bring you back into your space and your truth and your power." I was like, yeah, 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 yeah. I didn't have the time. And when we spent time together, yourself and the other ladies, it it showed me a reflection of myself that I had forgotten. And that's what brought me back to being able to be in a space to look at the work that I do and acknowledge that it does matter and it is important and it's really, really important. And the clearer I got on the work that I do with with young to midlife women, and the more I talked about it, the more and more the noise around me resonated as to how important that was. So there were just so many levels for me that were transformational that I was absolutely not expecting in any way, shape, or form.
I am so grateful for your transparency. I really am, because so many women out here are where you were with,
Mm,
and I've been there so
mm,
much, so many times.
mm,
But you just, where you just go, you go, you go, you go, you do, because you feel that this is what you have to do. And you
mm,
don't realize how really desperately you need to declutter,
mm,
decompress, and breathe.
mm,
Seriously. When
mm,
when I talked to Ramunda before our host before the retreat, she was like, "What can I do for you? I want this to be special for you." And I
mm,
said, "Ray, I just want to breathe."
mm,
So see, my that we were like on opposite sides. I was just like,
mm,
I just want to breathe. You
mm,
know, I do my own retreats, and I was with the busyness of work and Lioness Warrior Kingdom and everything that was going on. And over the past 3 months, everything in my life transitioned. And it was
mm,
just like, "Whoa." Okay,
mm, mm,
like
mm,
what is really going on here? My husband transitioned in April. The week before I came to the retreat, my job shifted to where I was no longer involved in the day-to-day decision makings and what have you of the company. And this is a company that I had shouldered for 12 years. And
mm, mm,
you know what I'm saying? And then with my children and my grandchildren getting through the loss of my husband, and it was just so much. And I just was like, I need to get on that plane because
mm,
I
mm,
just need to exhale. And then as I said, my thing was, Lord, I need clarity. What does this new season of my life look like?
mm,
Because it's going to be a totally different season than what's been. You know, I've been a caregiver. I've walked through so many different things while doing everything else. I'm the matriarch of my family, so everybody comes to me for everything.
mm,
And it's just like, when you're used to shouldering, you have to realize, and I'm so grateful that you realize 2, 3 days in that you need it to decompress.
mm,
You needed to go, let me just exhale for a minute. I
mm.
remember we were laughing and Abigail kept talking about monkey brain.
Yep. And I call it my ping pong brain. It's like, which can I just let you in a little secret? When you're jet lagged, ping pong brain is like 5 games of ping pong all at once. It's crazy.
Oh my goodness. But if you can, and it might be hard to describe, but if you can, how did you get to that place? Because women need this. How did you finally get to that place 2, 3 days in to realize that, I really do need to step back and experience the experience, like just not just try to get through it, but I need to experience.
Do you know what it was? It wasn't me. And there's a really powerful message in this. It was the women I was surrounded with and the love and support and caring from women that I had just essentially met. I mean, look, as you said, we had met on Zoom calls or Women Thrive networking events but as you and I both know, they were in the middle of the night for me. So I was up at, 2 a.m. Brisbane time in my pajamas telling you ladies that I promise I don't look like this all the time. And when you do meet me, I'm actually going to look half decent. So none of us had met before in person. And for me, the realization and the ability to be able to decompress and to breathe came from the safe space that was unknowingly curated by the women I was surrounded with. And we often read that you're the mirror, you're the success of the people that you surround yourself with. And that's a conscious choice. And perhaps for me, in this instance, it was a subconscious choice. My subconscious, my higher self knew that it was needed, but my brain was so monkey brain, so ping pong brain that it couldn't get out of its own way to let that faith in myself, that energy in myself, that higher self, the subconscious, whatever you want to call it, come out and tell me what I needed. So for me, it was the people I surrounded myself with subconsciously. And it's brought me back to that lesson that you are the reflection and you are the success of the people that you surround yourself with.
Mm, I love that. So I want to kind of shift gears a little bit now, and I want
Mm,
to talk about your coaching
mm,
because we touched on it um, a bit in the retreat. The should
mm.
have, I
The
should have,
should.
I should,
Yeah.
I should have.
I should.
Share. What's at the core of what you're helping women to
Mm,
accomplish,
mm.
getting away from the I should or I should have.
Yeah. Okay. So perhaps there's some use for the backstory here. So I'm 51. I'm divorced. I've got two children. Um, and my oldest child was an unexpected joy. And I then got married not long after because it was the right thing to do. And at the end of the day, I'm really glad that I did because I ended up having my other daughter and I wouldn't have had her had that not happened. However, I don't think I was someone who ever really wanted to get married with the 2.3 children and the white picket fence and the dog in my hometown and my, stay at home. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with that in any way. It wasn't what I had ever dreamed for myself or knew that I wanted for myself. Sliding doors and just the way the cookie crumbled, that's what I ended up in. And as I said, I'm so very grateful I've got both of my girls and I wouldn't change that. However, I was very much a square peg in a round hole
Mm,
and I didn't know how to get out of it elegantly or eloquently. I didn't have the words, I didn't have the communication skills, I didn't have the maturity or the wisdom to be able to extract myself without burning it all down and destroying it in the process.
mm,
And getting married, buying the house, living in the hometown, being friends with all of the people that, just happened to be in that group because it was easy and it was convenient. These are some of the shoulds that I experienced. And as I've been working with women over the last 6, 7 years, I've heard so many varieties of shoulds. So that was one of my experience of shoulds. But shoulds in today's world are, for a lot of young women particularly, I should have a better job. I should be further on in my career by now. I should be earning more money. I should have bought a house by now. I should be having kids by now. I should want to have kids. I should have a boyfriend. My boyfriend should have proposed to me by now. I should be engaged. I should be married. I should be wanting children. I should be wanting to get married. I need to get I need to get Botox. I've got 11s. I don't know how many 25-year-olds say to me, "Oh, I'm thinking about getting Botox." And I'm like, "Are you insane?" And I know that that's a real judgment stance from me. And I get my nails done, and I know you do too. And you know, um, there's so many shoulds, and in the workplace, in the corporate space, I should be able to handle that. I should be able to take on more responsibility. I should be able to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and go to the gym and eat all the right foods and, you know, meal prep and journal and meditate before work and walk the dog and do a full 10 hours work and produce 14 hours work and come home and go to the gym. And, all of there's so much noise and messaging and pressure and expectation, particularly for particularly for young women. But the more and the more I've talked about this um, in the last couple of months, I'm just hearing so much more from women of every age around societal expectations of what we should do. This is the work that I do, bearing in mind that not everyone gets to completely disconnect and have the experience that we had living this amazingly clear experience of absolute pure luxury in Spain with a private chef and, going for a boat ride and jumping into the Mediterranean and, oh, this is the way that life should be. And, we can prophesize all of that stuff. The reality is most women in our kind of demographic
Mhm.
have to
Mhm.
work, they have a
Mhm.
family, they've got multiple responsibilities they have to juggle. Um, our young women, if they're not wearing the right clothes, doing the Botox, getting the fillers, goodness forbid they go and get their workout gear from Kmart, not Lululemon, having the Mecca accounts and all of the stuff for the right makeup. I mean, I buy my makeup from Chemist Warehouse, I don't care, but for it's there's all of these shoulds and I don't know whether the phrase is the same in the US as it is here, but it's called keeping up with the
The
colloquially
Joneses,
keeping
yes.
up with the
Hmm.
Joneses.
Keeping up with the
Um,
Joneses. Hmm.
and these are all the shoulds that I talk about. So what I do is work with women and say, look, okay, let's work out what's important to you. Because some of these things are important to you, and that's okay. And I'm not here to judge
Hmm.
that. Um, what is really important to you and why?
Mhm.
And I ask those questions based on their values.
Hmm. Hmm.
And
That's
when
good.
I ask those questions based on their values, I ask the values questions from three lenses. The first lens, and let's use respect as the value as an example here. When you're showing respect to somebody else, what kind of behaviors and actions and words are you displaying and using? What body language, what tone of voice? Are you making eye contact? Are you smiling gently but not over aggressively? Are you giving full attention and not having your phone over here and doing this and darting your eyes out and looking around at other people? If you're on a Zoom call, have you got your camera on? When you're respecting somebody else, what does that look like? And that's a question that people can answer pretty readily because, it's whether it's respect or kindness or love or fairness, it's something that we can easily say, well, when I'm being respectful, these are the kind of actions or behaviors or language, words, communication that I use. The next question I ask is when you feel respected by somebody else, what are you seeing from them? How are they acting? How are they behaving? What words are they using? If I was to record it in a video camera, and I know that this shows that I'm the age of a dinosaur, what am I seeing? The third question, which doesn't get asked very often, and people have a really hard time answering, is when you're respecting yourself,
Hmm.
how are you treating yourself?
Wow. That's a big one.
Mm. And sometimes those when when I say to you, okay, if you're respecting yourself, what does that look like? And oftentimes, Colette, that looks like having boundaries in place,
mm,
having robust conversations, being able to say confidently no to the pressures, the expectations, the shoulds that social media, society, family, friends puts on you.
mm,
And that's where we start to get down to the nitty-gritty of, you know, are you, if you're, let's use gym gear as an example. I've got to have all my gym gear from Lululemon because that's what everybody else has, and I can't possibly go to the gym if I'm not wearing the right workout gear.
mm,
Okay. So I'll switch gears and talk about the fairness as the value here. And I say, well, is that fair to yourself? Well, what do you mean? Well, you're on X $1,000 a month in your salary. You've got to pay for this, 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 and this. You're actually putting yourself in debt to go to Lululemon to buy your workout gear. Is that being fair are you doing yourself any favors
mm,
by doing that?
mm,
You're, if that's what you're buying, you're putting yourself in debt. Is that fair to you? Is that being kind to yourself? Is that loving yourself? Is that actually doing you any favors? Is it the right thing to do for you and your long-term future?
mm, mm,
The other alternative is I can't afford the gym gear, so I'm not going to go to the gym. Is that fair to you either? Because that could be risking your health, risking your well-being, risking your strength. I'm a 51-year-old woman who needs to, I go to Pilates and I lift weights and I do cardio because for me, as a 51-year-old woman with a fairly unique body, and that's a story for another day, I need to keep the vessel strong to be able to live into my 60s, 70s, 80s, and hopefully 90s. So
mm,
if I can't go to the gym because I don't have the right clothes, because that's what social media tells me that I should be doing, is that fair to me and what I want for my
mm,
future? So it's
mm,
this lens that I use to help women understand what's really important to them and what's not.
I love that. That is so good. How do you
Mm,
respect yourself? That,
mm,
wow, 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 wow. I'm
mm,
always, I'm gonna use that. I'm just telling you. I'm
mm.
always,
It is not patented, my darling. You, I do not remember where it came from. For me, we learn from all of the people around us. So I'm not going to say that it's unique and I came up with it. But it is something that has always really, really stuck with me. And the kicker is that when you are respecting yourself, when you are being kind to yourself, when you are being fair with yourself and you're making those choices that are right for you, they can be hard choices.
mm,
I'm not saying it's easy.
mm,
They can be really tough choices and really scary choices. I, um, for many years, both of my daughters were estranged from me, and I think I've told you this story, but it's a perfect example of showing myself kindness. My daughter, one of my daughters, my youngest daughter, um, about 3 years after originally estranging herself, wanted to come back and rebuild the relationship, and she had conditions. You're not my mother. I've got a mother. I just want to be able to sit across the Christmas table from you if I have to. You're not to call me darling or love or honey, and you know me, I call people, all everyone honey and darling and love. You're not to text or ring me. I will only text or ring you. And rebuilding this is on my terms, and basically you will do what I want you to do when I want you to do it, if you want this relationship back. Now, being estranged from both of my children, as you can imagine, was beyond heartbreaking. I didn't know that heartbreak was a physical pain until that happened to me. So I wanted my daughter back more than anything in the world. If I had have acquiesced to all of her ultimatums, I would have spent the rest of my life walking around on eggshells, worrying about everything I said to her, every move I made, every decision and choice I made. I would have been worried. What if what I'm gonna about to do is the wrong thing? What if this upsets her? What if she doesn't like it? Um, you know, what if I lose her again?
mm,
And I would have spent the rest of my life second guessing myself.
mhm,
Being kind to myself and respecting myself and the journey and the growth that I had been through, I said to her, I love you, darling, but this is not acceptable to me.
mm,
And in doing that, it was one of the hardest things I'd ever done in my life because I knew she could have walked away.
mm,
But I also knew I'd been strong enough to do it once and I could do it again. And I didn't want to live the rest of my life looking over my shoulder.
mm, mm,
So when I talk about showing those values inwards, it's not always easy. And this is where the work that I do comes in because I think people come to see they engage a coach, and whether it be a life coach or a leadership coach or whatever kind of coach it is, because they think coming to see a coach is going to make my life rosy and perfect, and there's going to be no humps and life's going to just be rainbows and unicorns and tulips. It's not.
mm, mm,
It's
mm,
not. I think what we do as coaches is to be able to give people the tools to have the resilience to manage the up and down
mm,
and to be able to make those tough decisions with their confidence, their self-esteem, their respect, their kindness, their fairness, their love intact. Because if you're not happy within yourself, then what kind of life is that?
mm, mm. Exactly. There's a phrase that life is lifing. And, no matter what, you're going to experience some things.
Mm,
I,
it never stop. We don't get to a point and go, I'm done now, everything's easy.
if we do, could you tell me exactly when that
Look,
point happens?
look, you'll be on speed dial.
But at the same time, I so respect your decision to say, I'm not going to live my life that way.
Mm.
And it worked out, you know.
It did work out. And we have the most beautiful, honest, respectful relationship that if I hadn't of respected myself at that time, that would have never happened. And she wouldn't have grown into the amazing young woman she is
Right.
today, you know?
I always say that, if you devalue yourself, you give everybody around you permission to do it as well. But when
Mm,
you value yourself, you will not allow anyone else to devalue you. And so I'm going to add, that's why I say I'm going to take that. I'm going to
mm,
add, you respect yourself.
mm,
It's like we're always talking about from respect is giving and getting when you're talking about other people.
mm,
But you just put this in such a connotation about giving and getting for yourself,
mm.
and that takes on just a whole new arena of self-love, self-care,
Yes.
you know.
And it shows, when if I touch back on that particular daughter, she now emulates that behavior. So not only do we have a respectful relationship, but I've taught her, and I'm so proud of being able to have done that, that she respects herself and she won't put up with
Mhm.
behaviors that disrespect
Mhm.
her. I look at her and I go, oh, you're mommy's girl,
Mhm.
and it's an amazing thing to watch. And I feel so honored to be able to, through my own experiences and my experiences like yours have been, we've lived a life,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, parlaying that life and those lessons into being able to help other people is uh, there's no words. And it's not having a God complex. It's just from the kindness of your own heart. I don't want to see anybody go through what I went through. If
Mm,
people are stuck in the shoulds, I'd like to be able to think that through my experience, through my knowledge, through my education, through my connections, through my networks, I can hopefully help them have the tools to be able to get out of it eloquently and elegantly without burning it all down.
mm,
Because I burnt it all down at the bottom of 8 bottles of red wine a day. It was messy.
mm, mm. So look at you on the other side.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
That this is one of the things that I love about you and what makes you an unstoppable lioness to me because, you know, you did what you did. You own what you own it. I did it. I brought it down. It's like I own it. But you didn't allow whatever happened in your past to prohibit you from a future. And
Mm,
I think that's so valuable, because so many of our lionesses, so many women are stuck in what the past was. Well, the past was the past. The same
mm,
way that you had to take your stand and said, that's unacceptable for
mm,
me, for a relationship with you. You did not allow the quote unquote guilt factor of whatever
mm.
the past had been to say, well, I just have to accept anything because
Mm.
that's the truth.
That's exactly right. Mm,
That's not the truth. So
mm,
I applaud you.
mhm,
That's one of the things about you that I just found so amazing because it's so important. It is so important to push past. We all have a past. I I say this. I said, I wrote a book and a lot of my past is in my book. And you
mhm,
and I both were in the Women Thrive series. I was in the first book, you were in the
mhm,
fourth book. We
mhm,
put our story out there. We've
mhm,
put our story out there. But I'll tell people there's some things that only me and Jesus know, and nobody else need to know because he'll
mhm,
keep it.
mhm,
He'll cover it.
mhm, mhm.
But I did not allow that to stop me from becoming and evolving into the woman that I was created to be.
Yeah,
And that's what's so important. You did not allow what happened stop you. And here's what's even on top of the importance of you growing in who you were, but you've taken the experiences of what you walked through to be able to help others.
which is a joy, right? It is such a joy to be able to do that.
Mm,
It really is. It's such a joy. I often talk to my women about everyone's got a choice. Everyone's got a choice. The choices may not be, it might not, choice A might not be better than choice B, and both choices may not be rosy, but you've got a choice at every single juncture, in every second of the day,
mm,
you have a choice.
mm,
And for me, I had a choice that day with my daughter to stay in the guilt cycle and the I don't deserve
mm,
good relationships and I don't deserve love and I don't deserve kindness. I deserve to be beaten down for the rest of my life. Or I can choose to move forward with the person that I had to grow into because I didn't have either of the girls.
mm,
Uh, I had to rebuild myself, and perhaps that was part of what was necessary for me to become the woman I am today.
mm,
Um, we learn from every experience that we have, but every single person has choices.
mm,
And I often have people come to me and they say, "Well, I didn't have a choice." Well, you did have a choice, and you chose this for that reason. Da 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 da. Um, and every choice has an outcome. And I use the word outcome rather than consequence. Consequence has got quite a negative connotation to it. So, you've got choice A, it's got this outcome. You've got choice B, it's got this outcome. You might choose one or the other because of an actual obligation or a perceived obligation, and that's your choice with the shoulds.
Mhm.
And some shoulds are a lot harder than others. Should I buy Lululemon or should I buy Kmart? That's probably a fairly easy should, but familial shoulds with responsibilities to family are a lot deeper and a lot more in depth. But we do all have choices, and when we own those choices and the consequences or outcomes of those choices, then we've got real power.
Mhm. Well, we're down to 4 minutes. This has gone by so fast, but I would like for you to share about the community that you
Yeah.
structured.
So I am in the process at the moment of interviewing guests for my podcast, which I will be launching. I actually had a thought the other day. I'm going to have it ready to launch on the 13th of October. So it is a little while off. Um, I've got 10 episodes that I will have ready to go, bang, 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 weekly from the 13th of October. The 13th of October is a really special date for me. It's my soberversary, and this year will be 9 years. So it's quite significant to be able to launch something that I've been dreaming about for a really long time.
It's the
And
day after my birthday, so yeah, I'll celebrate with you.
and the podcast is called Should She? Question mark.
Mm,
The way that I've structured it, Coilette, is that it is stories from ordinary women
mm,
around the shoulds that they've either experienced and come out the other side,
mm,
or the shoulds that they are living with and how they navigate
mm,
those. And the reason that I've chosen to interview ordinary women. And I mean by that women, everyday women like you and me, not celebrities like Ellen DeGeneres or Michelle Obama. I'm not, I don't have their phone number to get them into an interview, but B, I want to interview and work with and hear the stories of real everyday women because that's what's going to inspire and
mm,
give relatable experiences to hopefully the audience that listens to the podcast.
mm,
Because when you hear stories from Michelle Obama or Katy Perry or
mm,
whomever it might be, you think, well, that's all right for them because they've got
mm,
squillions of dollars and access to this and access to that. Normal everyday women don't necessarily have all of the resources to be able to navigate the shoulds as easily as some of the celebrities that I've talked about, and you know exactly what I'm talking
No,
about.
exactly what
Like
you're
you
saying.
see a celebrity online and they're like, oh, I've lost
Mhm,
20 kilos, and you're like, yeah, it's all right for you. You've got a private chef and a personal trainer and a this and a this and a this. It doesn't inspire real women. It doesn't inspire everyday women because we're like, well, we don't have access to all of that. So
mhm,
I am working with everyday women around and getting their experiences on their shoulds, what they've experienced, the
mhm,
shoulds that they deal with, the shoulds that they've felt on their shoulders, the shoulds that have affected them, the shoulds that they've um, acknowledged and then done something about. So that's the first part of the community I'm building. The second part of the
So, well,
community.
you got 15 seconds. I need you to tell the audience how they can reach you and they can learn more about your communities and what you have going on.
So the simplest way is either on socials. So you can simply find me at Mandy Merrifield on both Facebook and Instagram. It's really easy. I'm not I don't have a business name as such. It's just me. Very simple to find. I'm in the process of rejigging my website as well, and that again is simply mandymerrifield.org. So Very, very, very easy to find me, and
Thank you so
it's
much.
the
Thank
stuff.
you so much. This has been wonderful. I have to have you come back.
I
Uh,
would love
I
to come
always run
back.
out of time here, but I have to have you come back. And especially once the podcast gets going, we'll
Yeah.
revisit and everything. Well, Lionesses, that's our show for today. I know you have enjoyed Mandy, because she is just that ray of sunshine and that light. So tune in next week and let's see where we land this plane. All right. Love you much. Have an incredibly unstoppable day. God bless.